Welcome back. My name is India and I happen to read a lot, and welcome to year 2 of the New Adult Book Prize. This is the second part of my New Adult Book Prize series. I did this all last year when I was announced as one of the ambassadors of the New Adult Book Prize. I've been brought back for a second year. Video 1 for that series, where I spoke about new adult fiction and gave you some recommendations, is currently out. Please check it out. I love that video so much. We are moving on to a different part. The shortlist has officially come out, and as part of my role as an ambassador, I use this lovely platform that I have lovingly created to let you know about these amazing books. I'm super happy to be able to introduce these books to you. My goodness, this is a good shortlist. We are getting fantasy, romance, literary fiction. We have everything. This shortlist really shows how incredible the new adult age group is, and the variety, versatility, and the absolute breadth and depth of what new adult fiction can give you. So let's just jump right in. Let's not worry about anything else. Let's discuss the shortlist of the New Adult Book Prize 2026. Year 2, baby! First up, and she needs no introduction, we have Among the Burning Flowers by Samantha Shannon. Thank you to the New Adult Book Prize for sending me a signed copy. This is the third book that has come out in the Roots of Chaos series by Samantha Shannon. I believe, and according to Goodreads, it's technically in the chronology, the timeline, book 2. And this book is a direct prequel to The Priory of the Orange Tree. This sets up all the little stepping stones to Priory of the Orange Tree. I am going to read this, and I really hope I can read this without having read the other books, because they are tomes and I have an entire shortlist to try and read, so fingers crossed. But this is very exciting. It's super exciting to have such a big name like Samantha Shannon on the list. Come on! The judges recommended this book and described it as elegant and compelling. I don't really think Samantha Shannon needs much introduction because she is that girl, but I'm very excited to read it, and I really hope when I Google this in a second that they're going to say to me, you don't need to read the others. Or I'm just going to spoil myself. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to spoil myself. But yeah, book 1. Book 2 on the shortlist is Dawn of the Firebird by Sarah Mughal Rana. This is another epic fantasy. I mean, look how gorgeous that cover is. Oh, and look at the back. Oh, she's beautiful. This epic fantasy is inspired by Islamic culture and looks at war and trauma through the lens of our main character. And Sarah has been described as an ambitious new voice in the genre, which is very exciting. I would love to be also known as an ambitious new voice in the genre. This follows a young girl who awakens powers that turn her into a weapon, and when her clan is killed, she infiltrates the enemy's war academy to try and basically bring it down from within. I'm expecting this to be as epic as it bloody looks. Then we have The Merge by Grace Walker, which feels, based on reading the synopsis, very much like out of Black Mirror in a way. This is Grace Walker's sci-fi fantasy debut, and ask ourselves, what are the lengths that we would go to for our family? In this book, we follow a mother and daughter. The mother is going through Alzheimer's, and they are going for an experimental, I was going to say. An experimental, what's the word I'm looking for? Process that basically merges their consciousness together. And obviously it's making me think of Severance, it's making me think of Black Mirror, it's making me think of identity, and what does it mean for two people to merge their consciousness together? When does one person begin and the other person end? And one thing about me, I really kind of find these stories very interesting, because 9 times out of 10, they never go well. So I'm expecting this to be very like heartbreaking, but also really interesting and having me on the edge of my seat. I am very much looking forward to diving into this one. I think this book, if I'm being completely honest, out of all of them, even though they all sound incredible, I think this is the one that I'm drawn to the most. Next up, we have The Tiny Things Are Heavier by Esther, Ifesikenchi, Okonkwo. This follows our main character. Her name is Somi. She's a Nigerian woman who has moved to the US to study, and she arrives in the US not long after her brother's suicide, which she is still in the middle of processing. We're also processing this big move, moving from Nigeria to America to study. She ends up falling in love with a man called Brian. So they end up falling in love, and they end up making a trip to go back to Nigeria, Somi to come to terms with her brother's death, and Brian to connect the father he never knew. So this is quite short. So the minute I see a book this short, but with covering these kinds of discussions like death and family, I know that I'm about to sob my heart out. And this book was described by the panel as moving and brilliant. And it was also longlisted for the Dylan Thomas Prize. Love that. I think this one is going to pack a punch emotionally, affect me emotionally, physically, and mentally. Then we have It Might Never Happen by Emily Slapper. This is a kind of literary romance following two people who are struggling in life and are kind of insecure and have a lot of worries, and they meet each other, they connect, but are their insecurities and their anxieties going to get the best of them and kind of ruin this blossoming relationship that they seem to be forming? The thing is, is it possible to love another person when you have no idea how to love yourself? Whew! Woo! This is Emily Slapper's second novel. It's described as thought-provoking and relatable, and the panel praised her for her vivid storytelling. Then we have And Now Back to You by B.K. Borison. I know a lot of the people in the Ambassador program love a bit of B.K. Borison. I'm thinking of Mosin specifically. This is the second book in B.K. Borison's Heartstrings series. I believe they're both weather reporters? Yes, it follows two weather reporters who are forced to work together during a storm. Need you say more? Described as gorgeous and heartwarming. She has made, very similar with Samantha Shannon, she's made a very big name for herself in the romance space. I think one of the things that I really want to shout out about the New Adult Book Prize is not being adverse to genre fiction. I like seeing romance on this list. I like seeing fantasy on this list. I like seeing different kinds of romance on this list. Feels good to have just fun, contemporary, commercial romance. Yes, we've probably got like Emily Slapper's feels a little bit more like literary romance, but to have like commercial romance is great. I love seeing a cartoon cover like this on a prestigious prize. I do. I think it's great. I think it's good to, you know, kind of tackle the idea that genre fiction can only be in awards for genre fiction, you know? So I'm very happy about this for this prize. I'm excited to read this. I do think, again, because how most contemporary romances work, you don't have to read whatever the book before this one is to read this one, but I am thinking it's probably a lot quicker to read book 1 and book 2 than to read the 2 other books involved in the Roots of Chaos series. But yes, very excited to get down and read some fun contemporary romance. Continuing on the romance trend, we have Lucas Oakley's Nearly Departed. This follows Joel. Joel recently is entering the dating scene again after his girlfriend passed away, only to then realize that his girlfriend's ghost is haunting him. That would be me if anything happened to me and my fiance decided he was going to enter the realms of dating again. I will haunt him. This is a very beautiful, heartbreaking book about trying to find love again after loss, grief, just the ups and downs of the dating scene. How do you navigate that when your girlfriend's haunting you? The panel praised Lucas Oakley's book on its humor and on its quiet elegance. This is another one that I feel should be quite good. I kind of like books that tackle dark topics with humor, so this is very much right up my alley. Then we have Swept Away by Beth O'Leary, which takes contemporary romance and survival into one. It follows our two main characters who have a one-night stand on a houseboat, and then in the night, the houseboat goes adrift and they're out at sea. So it's part survival tale, part romance. What more could you want? Fun, relatable, and exciting story to add to the panel. Again, I'm just liking these fun romance books on this panel because I think what people don't understand, especially with kind of like commercial romance books, is they really do encapsulate what it means to be a new adult. Maybe less drifting off to sea in a houseboat, but weirder things have happened. Then we have Cara Maxwell's Sugartown. Again, I'm thinking of one of the ambassadors specifically when it comes to this book. Evie loves Irish fiction. This follows Saoirse. She is moving from London back home after a breakup and having no idea where to go with her life, except for it seems to be that everybody around her is moving on except for her. So this is a very like character-focused story. Some of these are a little bit more plot leaning than this one seems to be. Definitely the focus of Saoirse, our core character at the center of this novel. Cara Maxwell was specifically praised on the panel for her skill in writing a character who's at the forefront of the story, whose mind is her own worst enemy, and we are within that mind. So yeah, that sounds very good. I might need to buckle in when I read that one. And this was also, she was shortlisted for the Irish Book Awards Newcomer of the Year. She's racking up all the bloody awards. And then finally, we have Hekate by Nikita Gill. I know this book well. It was one of the books of the month when I was still a bookseller. This is a prose retelling of the goddess of magic, Hekate. Have I read it when I was a bookseller? No, I didn't. And the universe went, this needs to be in your hands. Read it. I've not actually read that many Greek mythology books recently. I read loads at one point and then kind of stopped. So it's quite fun to go back into Greek mythology books again, and also in a way where it's told in poetry. It's a novel in verse. That's what it's called. It's called a novel in verse, yeah. All about the goddess of magic, Hekate. I've not read any of Nikita Gill's poetry, so I actually know nothing about her style or her poetry or anything like that. It'll be quite interesting to read a novel in verse, because you don't see many of those. I personally have not seen many of those. Could just be me. And this book was declared as the panel as spellbinding. Oh, perfect, I'm thinking, because I'm going to be reading this all over it September and a bit in October. Spellbinding is definitely the vibe that we're bringing into my gosh, my brain. Spellbinding is definitely what we want to bring into the autumn. Definitely the kind of vibe for the books that I want to read in the new season. So yeah, but here we are. This is the entire shortlist for the New Adult Book Prize 2026, Year 2. And like I said at the beginning of the intro, what a great way to showcase the variety of what new adult fiction can give you. You don't see that much variety in other prizes, and I'm not just saying that. And all of this of what I'm saying is I'm not just saying this because I'm an ambassador. I would be feeling this way about the prize if I wasn't. It's definitely one of the prizes out there where truly there are no limitations. As long as you are writing with new adults in mind, there's no limitations of what you can write and what you can bring. So yeah, there we go. On to Year 2.